dramatic Christmas reading, and she said, sure. So we thought about it, prayed about it, and she came up with this reading for tonight called The Tale of Three Trees. It'll be narrated by Glenda Patterson. And when they're done, we will have the children come back up, and they'll be singing a Christmas song for us again. Okay? Thank you.
Well, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate that. And every time I practice this at home, I'd sit on my bed and I would think about my kindergarten teacher. I know that was a long time ago. Well, her name was Mrs. Pretty. And we couldn't wait for Mrs. Pretty to say, okay, children, come to the story rug. We knew she was going to tell us a story. It was so awesome. And somebody, always some little boy, would conk out and snore. So I'm asking you tonight when we do this story, please don't conk out and snore. Nudge your husband, wife. Well, once upon a time, upon a mountain top, long time ago, three little trees stood and talked amongst each other what they hoped to become when they grew up.
Just look at this night sky. The stars kind of look like jewels, and that is what I want to hold. Well, obviously not stars, but treasure. I want to be covered in gold and filled with shining, rare, and precious stones. I will hold the biggest treasure in the world.
That's good and all, but really I want to be part of a ship. In fact, not part of a ship. I want to be the strongest ship in the world. I want to carry kings and important people across the mighty waters of the ocean.
Do you see all the people down there in the town? I don't want to leave this place. I just want to be a tree, grow big and strong and tall, so that every person who looks up to see me with my arms raised to God, and then they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God.
Well, years flew by like minutes, and the trees, they grew and grew. Rain came, snow came, wind passed, seasons came and went. The trees grew strong and tall, and then one day, woodcutters came to take the trees. This was to take them to the next phase of their life. The first tree, it went to a carpenter shop.
Yes, I knew it. Now I will be made into a beautiful treasure chest and sold to a very important king who will use me to hold the most precious jewels in the world. I can't wait.
But that was not to be. The carpenter made the first tree into an ordinary old feed box. And guess what? He placed it in a barn. Then the second tree was taken to a shipyard.
Oh, they're taking me to a shipyard. Now's the time. They're going to use me to build the biggest and strongest ship in the world. I'm going to carry kings across the rough waters of the ocean. I can't wait.
Yeah, but that was not to be. They made it into just a simple old fishing boat, and they sold it to a fisherman. And the third tree, well, he was sad because they had grown up all this time together, and they were going to cut it down too.
Man, I'm so sad. How can I help people to think of God if they do not leave me here to point the way? What will become of me?
So that third tree, he was made into beams and just left to sit in the lumber yard. Now the trees were very, very far apart from each other, and they felt even further away from their dreams.
I wanted to be covered in gold and sparkling jewels so they would use me to hold the most important treasures. Now I'm covered in dust and mud and old hay for animals to eat. I will never be a treasure chest now.
I was going to sail the ocean, carrying kings on important missions, and now I'm just a fishing boat. I don't even think I can. I'm too weak to sail the ocean. I'll never be able to carry kings on important missions now.
Oh, yeah? All I wanted was to stand straight and tall and true, pointing the way for others to look to God. Now I'm just a simple beam. I will never be able to remind people to think of God now.
Well, many days and many nights passed as the trees settled into their new roles. They began to forget their dreams. Then, one clear night, someone new came into the barn where the first tree, that was now a feed box, remember, where it stood.
Who's this lady and why is she sleeping here? This is a place for animals, not people.
Well, the tree soon understood why they were there, for the lady had a baby, and she placed it in that feeding box where there was fresh hay to soften it. Her husband looked at her and said, "Oh, honey, I wish I could have made a cradle for my little boy."
Did she really just say that it was okay? She said, I was perfect for this baby. She said I was meant to be here for him. This isn't an ordinary baby.
And suddenly, shepherds came, and they knelt at that feed box where that baby lay. They spoke of heaven and angels.
I am holding the greatest treasure in the world after all, for this is the Son of God. My dream has come true, but not in the way I had planned. It's even better.
Well, more than 30 years passed by, and one evening, a tired man and his friends climbed into an old fishing boat that had once been that second tree. The tired man lay down and fell asleep as soon as he could while the others began to sail that boat.
Who are these guys? They don't even appear to want to fish. Look, that one in the back, he's sleeping. They aren't even here to enjoy a boat trip. Why are they here?
Well, although the weather had been calm and quiet, a storm began to grow. There was wind and thunder and lightning, and then the waves began to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I dreamed of being a strong boat, but I'm just a simple boat. There's too many people on me right now. I don't have the strength to get us all across, and we're all going to sink. We're all going to perish.
Well, the men on the boat, they began to panic. And then one went and he woke up the guy who was sleeping in the back. He calmly stood, stretched out his hand, and he said one word: "Peace." And the storm stopped in that very moment, and all was calm again.
No one from this earth could have done what that man just did. He's got to be the king of heaven. I dreamed of carrying kings where they needed to go, and now it seems I've carried the King of Kings along his way. My dreams have come true better than any way I could have ever imagined.
Well, a couple of years went by, and then one Thursday morning, the beams that had been the third tree, they awoke as they were pulled from that wood pile. The third tree grew more and more nervous as it was carried through the town, for there were many angry and shouting people, and some were even throwing things.
This is the opposite of what I had dreamed of doing. I planned to stand straight and tall so people would look high and think of God. Now I'm being used to make others sad or angry. Even the man carrying me doesn't want to. I'm too heavy. He fell and another had to come and help him. Where are we going?
They went to the top of a hill. And the beams that had been the third tree, they shuddered as they were tied together, and the man's hands and feet were nailed into it. It felt like it was doing it to this man. And there he hung on that cross of the beams. And some who looked, they cried, they were angry, they were glad to see this man up there.
Man, I dreamed of standing straight and tall and pointing the way to God. Now I'm standing straight and tall again. But most of the people here are not thinking of God. Now this man who was nailed to me is dead. Look at his friends crying as they take him down. This is definitely the opposite of what I had dreamed I'd be.
Well, that man, he was taken down after 3 days passed. On Sunday morning, the sun was coming up. The beams felt the earth tremble beneath it as the stone was rolled away from that tomb.
Wow, that man is alive again. No one but God could be something like this. Look at the love on his face. He has changed everything. Even death has now been conquered. I dreamed of standing straight and tall and pointing the way to God so they would think of him. Those who used me thought to make me something that was the opposite of that. But God had changed it, and now when people think of me, they won't be able to stop thinking of God. My dream has come true, but not as I planned. It's even better.
So you see, all three of these trees' dreams had come true in ways that were different than what they had planned. So it had been done in a way that made them even better than they could ever think. So the next time you feel sad because you aren't doing what you planned or getting what you wanted, then just be still. Be quiet. And take comfort knowing that God has something even better in store for you.
Romans 8:28 says, "And we know for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose."
And Proverbs 16:9 says, "The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps."
And lastly, 1 Corinthians 2:9 says, "But as it is written, what no eye has seen, no ear heard, nor heart of man imagined, what God has prepared for those who love him."
The end.